Common Sense Stir. I'm Lydia Nicole, your Common Sense Mamita. If you haven't already done so, please go to our YouTube page and subscribe to our channel. Well, today you are in for such a treat. We have the ability to be able to celebrate one of the greats of Los Angeles, Miss Adela Barnes, who is the co-founder of the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival. And she has been kicking butt for the last 25 years, taking this festival and just turning it upside down and doing amazing things. And I am just too excited to be able to say thank you to Adela Barnes. Hello, Adela.
Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you so much. To be able to have a festival and keep it going for 25 years is extraordinary. It's no easy feat. Not only have you been keeping it going, but it's thriving. It has grown and grown and grown, and every year it just gets better. You know, great people just keep showing up, and that's a testament to you. It's hard to maintain anything, and not only to keep it going, but to keep bringing wonderful people to the table. I thank you, and I thank you for every woman who has done the festival since the beginning.
Including you.
Including me. And I want to ask you, what made you want to start this festival?
You know, it's something that wasn't even planned. I happened to be at a conference. It was put on by the California Arts Council. It was in Pasadena. And at that time, they had a program called the Touring Roster Program. So I happened to be one of the artists. And if you were selected, you were in this beautiful directory. It was disseminated throughout the state of California. If a city facility or anybody wanted artists, they could go and look through and see who they were interested in. And I met this woman named Miriam Reed. And we realized we were
at the conference.
At the conference.
Oh my goodness.
We realized that we were kindred spirits because she has a one-woman show, actually more than one, on historical figures, and so do I. So that was our connection. That was our bond. That was our hook. So by the end of the conference, they pulled everybody back into this huge room. There were a lot of participants throughout the state. And they asked if there were any announcements. So Miriam had the bright idea, the visionary idea without even knowing it. She said, Adela, what if I go up and see if there are any other solo artists here and if we can collectively support each other? I said, I think it's a great idea. She went up, made the announcement. People came back to the rear of the room. Actors, dancers, storytellers, performance artists. We were like, we're on to something. So two women said, we have the Burbank Little Theater. Want to meet there for our first meeting? And by the end of the first meeting, the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival was born.
Wow. And what happened to Miriam?
She's still around. She's coming back for the celebration.
Oh, wonderful.
On the 29th. She lives in Oregon.
Okay.
So she's no longer in California, but she's still a part of us. She's a donor, so she has come back periodically throughout the year. So she's still very much a part of us.
You were the warrior.
I've been the anchor. She was the spark.
Oh, man. That's amazing. So from your beginning with the festival, did you know that it was going to be this long-lasting?
No. When we began, we were just a group of women who were solo artists. We didn't have a solo festival at that time in Los Angeles. The year before, the Women's Theater Festival, it's the oldest solo festival for women. It's in Philadelphia. They had come. They were at UCLA. I was one of their performers. I thought it was successful. We got great reviews. By the end of it, though, they said, this is not our cup of tea. LA is too schmoozy. It's too celebrity-driven. We're going back to Philadelphia. So when we met, I said, how about we pick up the torch where they left off, because they had brought it the year before. Let's not stop this. And so as a result, we have become the oldest solo festival for women in LA.
Wow. And what made you want to just do women?
There's enough work, I think, for men. Statistically, they have more work. Television, film, stage. I mean, it's just the truth. And we felt that we needed to make sure that we took care of ourselves as women, and that we were empowered, and that we have our own opportunities, and that we would not have to wait for the telephone to ring from an agent. We could actually do our stage work.
What were some of the challenges in the beginning?
No money.
That's always a challenge.
We were a group of solo artists. We didn't have any official sponsors. We had nothing. And it's amazing to think that we started in July of 1993. By March of 1994, we had our first festival. No official sponsors. It was our own money. We made it happen. We put the word out. We got submissions. And it's amazing when I really think back on that we did it without any kind of outside support. 25 years later, here we have produced over 500 solo artists from around the globe. We've offered offerings in the schools, LA Unified School District, to over 3,000 youth. We have had outreach programs to senior citizens, ex-offender women, low-income artists, at-risk youth, you name it.
What are some of your biggest accomplishments?
Empowerment Day, I would say that's one of the major accomplishments. That's part of our educational arm. And for 5 years, we just had our 5th annual Empowerment Day. We brought together solo artists in need of all this information to take their work to the next level. And it's a full day, so all the way from creating a solo show, as I mentioned earlier, marketing, how to tour. Each year we end with a group of women who are working women solo artists, so that the artists who are just starting can go, wow, they actually are making a living doing their solo work. So we always end with the empowered women who have crafted a career as solo artists.
Why do people do these shows? What is the purpose of having a solo show?
There's so many motivations. When I did my workshop yesterday on touring, that was a question I asked. Why do you want to tour? Why do you even want to develop a show? And I think there are a lot of reasons. Sometimes people want to create a show because they want to tell their story. And they feel like it's a story that needs to be shared, that it may resonate for another. It may help somebody else. Then you have those who want to develop their shows because they feel like, I've been an actor so many years. This would be a new frontier. I've never tried to do a solo show. Let me try this. This is a whole new genre. Then you have those who feel like, I want to make some money. And I want to be able to have my own vehicle. So I want a solo show, because I can control that. In my case, I think it's important to not only think about making the money, though. I think it's important to think about touching hearts and souls and spirits, and perhaps even being a healing agent in some cases for the kind of stories that are being told. And we've had many stories with our 500 women. You name it, the subject, we just about had it.
You personally have a solo show that I think is a tremendously educational show,
Yes,
because
it is.
you talk about all these African American women
That's
who
right.
made a difference.
That's right.
What made you want to do that particular show?
Because that's, you're talking about portraying historical figures, keeping history alive. That's very different than someone just taking a personal story that they want to develop and really get out there and share with others as well. They're both very valid. I had been touring with a company called the African American Drama Company in San Francisco. They had a one-woman show, a one-man show, both historical figures. I was with them when I lived in the Bay Area. Then I moved to Los Angeles, and I thought, maybe I need to create my own show, choose some other women that they're not really portraying and keeping alive historically, so I can continue the work they've begun by my own work. And also, one time, usually the male would do his male characters and I'd do mine, historical figures. And so I would open for him and then he would close. But this one particular time, and we did colleges and universities, this one particular time he wasn't with me, it was only me, and they gave me the check and they didn't seal it. And I opened up the check and I went, oh my goodness, so that's what he's getting for me, doing his show.
Wow.
Oh, maybe I better think about creating my own work. So there were a number of reasons that made me think it's time now for my own vehicle.
Wow. If you could tell your younger self something about walking through this journey with this solo festival, what would it be?
Probably, I think we sort of did all the things we needed to do starting out. We got our supporters. We partnered with others. We had excellent talent. So we really pulled together the elements that we needed. I guess if anything I would tell myself would be allow yourself to disseminate more, to delegate more, because in the beginning the founders did everything. And that's a lot. So over time I've learned how to delegate more. So I don't do near as much as I used to do in the old days. I don't have the energy. I don't have the time. I don't have the desire. And we have a great team.
Okay, so let's walk through the process, because you've done this for 25 years. So let's talk about somebody out there who's listening right now,
Okay.
who's interested in the idea of having a show.
Okay.
And so they're starting from scratch. What would your suggestion be to them?
I'd have several suggestions. One would be to study with someone who develops solo works. so that they have a teacher, an instructor who has worked with solo artists and can help them bring out whatever these personal stories are that they want to share. So start with a class and develop there. Have someone who's your guide. If you can't afford it or you don't want to go that route, just start writing, telling your stories.
Mm-hmm.
Don't edit, just write. Let out whatever it is inside of you that wants to come out. And even before starting, know what stories you want to tell. What do you feel like you want to share with others that's going to have value for them as well as for you? Start with the studying, start with the writing, start with sharing. When you get to the point where you have some things that you've written, have a few people over that you trust and that you'd like to share your work with to get feedback from. I would say those are some of the ways. Read, see theater, go see other solo shows so you can see what women are doing who have mounted their own shows. Learn through observation.
I know that that's available online. There are
Mm-hmm.
quite a few solo shows that people can get access to.
And
They
go
can-
live so you can
Yes.
see, so you can breathe in whatever someone is offering.
We're on the path to create something.
Okay?
Okay, so now we've gotten a book. What's the next step?
Okay, so now if the artist now has their own work, then I would suggest having a dramaturg, someone who will look at that, give you feedback, especially if you're not really a writer, but you know you have a story inside of you, but you want someone to guide you in the writing of it. A dramaturg is excellent. They can help you in terms of figuring out what you might say here, what you might take out there, what you want to really focus on more. Maybe the language is a little bit off, it's a little stilted. How do you make it more honest, truthful, accessible, so that someone is helping you in that area? Again, now that you've got the script, you want to not only have the dramaturg, but invite some people to hear it, as I said before. So
So
that
to
you
do
get
a
some
table
feedback.
read.
It could be a table read, it could be in your own home. You could have 10 people sitting on the floor in the living room and they're just listening. So once you have that, now you can begin to think about getting a director. Someone who's going to put it on its feet so that it takes form, that it has life, that it moves on the stage.
Is there a certain kind of director you want to go for since it's a solo show and not a play?
I would suggest someone who directs solo shows
Okay.
because they know the genre. I also would suggest, and I said this yesterday at Empowerment Day, I would also suggest that you choose someone who's passionate about your work, who really organically feels like it's something they want to direct, not for the money, not for anything other than the story. They want to support you in telling the story, and they believe in the story. They believe in you.
We've got our script. We have our director. What's the next thing?
So now that we've got our director, now we want to think about where are you going to put it on its feet. Might you go over maybe to the White Fire Theater? They produce solo shows. Maybe you can get a night over there 4 Mondays in a month of May or whatever. Or you might go to Highways. They produce solo shows. You might submit for festivals, the Hollywood Fringe. You might submit for the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival, United Solo in New York, the Edinburgh, in Europe. So you might want to begin to think about where you actually want to put it up so that it's fully mounted and an audience can come and be a part of it. Because the show is not alive if it's staged until you have the audience in their seats.
They can submit to festivals, but would you suggest they go directly to festivals before they've really worked it out?
No, I think they need to work it out. Get all the kinks out. You really need to have an audience. You really need to test it out. You may have to go back to the drawing board. There may be some sections you go, wow. After doing that, I realized that, I don't need that. Or, ooh, there's something else I really need to add. Or, I kind of didn't hit the mark on that one section. So you may want to go back after you've begun to workshop it to refine it before you even talk about taking it out to somewhere else. So if you're able to have a theater that does solo shows, produces solo shows and says, okay, we'll give you a night. Take advantage of that night. Have it as tight as you can with your director, the dramaturg you've already worked with, and take advantage of that one night. Invite everybody you know to come be part of that evening. So you want to really work through whatever you need to before you start investing in doing festivals, especially if you're going to have to put your own money behind it. And most festivals you do. With the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival, we're different than Fringe's. You don't have to produce yourself. We produce.
If you do know your audience, that's a good place to also workshop it. And so as they're working it, it is my suggestion to them is always, take it to the place where those people live, because they'll tell you if it's true.
If you want to do this, post-performance discussions.
Oh, that's
So that
yes.
you get feedback from your audience. They've just seen the show, you're sitting on the edge of the stage, or if it's a multi-purpose room, wherever you are, and you open it up and you listen to them and you hear them, what they have to say. Because I know with my show, I got a grant from the city of Los Angeles. So I thought, ooh, who am I going to take this to? Who's going to be the least critical of my work, doing a one-woman show on my own for the first time? And I thought, seniors. I'll go to seniors. They're going to be appreciative. They're not going to criticize my work. They're going to be so glad to get it. They're underserved. And I went to the seniors, senior citizen centers, 5 of them in LA. I had my post-performance discussions. And I remember really clearly one woman said, baby, this is wonderful what you're doing, but you need to take it to the youth. They need to hear about these women. So that was useful, because then I thought, aha, I need to really get into the schools. I really need to share the work with the schools. It helps when you have these post-performance discussions. You never know what you're going to get, and something may be very useful for you.
They have their show. They know their audience. They're trying to figure out finances. What would you say to them about looking for grants?
They can go online. The City of Los Angeles has individual grants, a COLA program they call it. They also probably have other programs that can be applied for. The LA County Arts Commission, the California Arts Council. Every state has arts councils. So if you're in a state other than California, you can Google to find out who are your city art councils, your counties, your state, NEA, that's national. So a lot of the work can be done by going online. And then if you're interested in doing colleges and universities, you can go to my biggest market was the National Association of Campus Activities.
Also
so
known
by
as
going
NACA.
there, that's right. So by going there, I was able to do both regional conferences and national conferences, and people were able to see my wares. And colleges and universities could then come to my booth when they had booth hours, and from there we begin the conversations, and then hopefully a booking would take place.
And so the regionals and the nationals, it's like a big audition, right? You
can say that, in that if you're selected for a showcase, and they're highly competitive, not everybody's going to get one, and they're very expensive. Joining organizations like NACA, very expensive. So if you submit, in the old days, it was a videotape. Now you have your electronic press kit. You submit, they select you, you get a showcase time. Then those who attend can come to your booth. They may be interested, and that's where the conversation begins. You follow up. After you go home, they go back to their schools. Many times they have their student affairs students who will contact you, the student union, different groups on campus. So a lot of times you're dealing with the students when you're talking about colleges and universities, not really the staff. They want the students to learn how to produce.
We've workshopped the show. We have taken it to festivals. Now we want to tour it. It's touring time.
It's touring time. And even festivals can be touring time. United Solo, you might be at the Edinburgh, so you're over in Europe. Edinburgh, you might be doing Hollywood Fringe Festival. You may be anywhere doing it. So that's a form of touring, doing festivals. Mm-hmm. Around the world, literally. And if you're talking about touring, I really think, again, you need to know who is your market. Do you have a piece that is on breast cancer? If it's on breast cancer, who needs to hear that? Do you need to be performing for those who have annual conferences for the American Medical Association? Mm-hmm. If you're doing a piece that's about homelessness, do you need to be performing for a market that's dealing with mental health? If you're doing a show and it's about historical figures, do you need to be at colleges and universities? You just need to know who your market is.
Yes.
Is it perfect for particular groups that you may want to work with? If you have a piece that deals with abuse, who might your target group be that really want to deal with that and hear your voice, so that they can work on their healing?
Let's talk submission for your festival? What is the process?
They would find out what dates we're receiving submissions. Usually it's April through September. And they would send us everything that we asked for on the application. And that would include an electronic press packet. They would have a cover letter. They would have their photos, their action shots. They might have flyers from other things they've done. A whole number of things that we ask them to submit, the submission fee. We have a screening panel. They go through every single one of the submissions. They rate them, discuss them. If you make it to round 2, then you're looked at again, and then finally we look at the ones that we want to make an offering.
What is something that you want people to know that you feel that they don't get it right all the time about this festival?
If anything, I would say that sometimes people might think, oh, it's a Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival. Only women can be involved on every level. And that's a misconception. That's untrue. From top down, we have men who are involved with us. Board of directors. We've had advisory board members who have been males. We've had males who have been part of our tech team. We've had production team members who are males. We've had males on our screening panel. We've had males all the way down, so up and down. And we've even had male performers. Once we had a program called A One Night Stand. It was all men. So that's a misconception. If anything, I would say the misconception thinking that you have to be a woman or you can't be a part of the festival, even our volunteers, males. So that's not true. We welcome men. We honor men. We love men.
The festival is happening here in Los Angeles. Okay.
29th through the 1st of April.
Where?
On the 29th, we have our Champagne Gala and Award Ceremony. The 7 founders are going to be honored. That includes me. That's at the Barnstall Gallery Theater in Hollywood. Then we go across town to the Electric Lodge in Venice for the 30th, 31st, and 1st. We have a dinner. We have performers. We're going to be doing all kind of performances outside as part of our live theater walk. As you're walking up that long walkway, you'll see all these artists performing little snippets of their work. Then you go inside the theater. We've got our musicians. We have our honorary hosts who will be with us. We have an opening number, a powerful opening number with all of these women who have been with us since the beginning. Our awardees returning, everybody who's been a part of us over the last 25 years.
Then we go to Venice.
That's right, to the Electric
Lodge.
And there, 14 more performers are going to perform.
And that is on the 30th?
31st and the 1st, which is Easter Day.
Go get your ticket now. You can go to lawtf.org.
That's right.
And get your ticket.
And then also they can go to, for the gala, they can go to Brown Paper and get their tickets there. And if they're coming to the Electric Lodge, they would go to Eventbrite, go to the festival site on Eventbrite for the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival.
Excellent. Don't miss it. It's the 25th anniversary. It is going to be fantastic. These women do amazing work. They just put on such a great show every year. So don't miss it this year.
And the theme this year is a toast to 25.
Ooh, which is
And our
beautiful.
gala theme is Legacy and Destiny.
Check out the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival at lawtf.org so you can find out everything there is to know about the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival and Adela, and find out how you can get your tickets, how you can submit for the next year to put your show in, and how you can find out about all the wonderful performers that are going to be scheduled this coming weekend. Also look up how to volunteer, because it really is worth it. I got to do it for a couple years, and it was extraordinary. You learn so much, you meet terrific people, and you get to see wonderful work.